2024 has been quite the year. It began a bit slowly with wide releases, but things picked up quickly with Dune Part Two, a major blockbuster, and Challengers, an early Academy Awards contender. Animation fans got Inside Out 2 and The Wild Robot, while Anora took home the Palme d'Or, and Wicked delivered for fans of the popular musical. Overall, it's been a solid year. But, as with any year, there's always the flip side. Alongside the hits, there have been a few misses, films that, for various reasons, couldn't quite hold their own against the year's best. Some were intriguing but flawed, while others were simply forgettable. Here are the 10 films that represent the less memorable side of 2024. So the 10th worst movie of 2024 on our list is Back to Black. Back to Black had a tall order to fill, centering on Amy Winehouse, a beloved artist whose life and career were tragically cut short. The film aimed to provide an honest portrayal of her tumultuous journey, including its heartbreaking end. While perhaps well-intentioned, it ultimately fell flat. Winehouse's story had already been told masterfully in the 2015 documentary Amy, which transcended the typical music documentary format with its depth and honesty. In contrast, Back to Black feels like just another generic music biopic, lost in a crowded genre often defined by mediocrity or missteps. And the 9th worst movie of 2024 on our list is Megalopolis. With Megalopolis included, Francis Ford Coppola's filmography remains a towering achievement. The director's timeless masterpieces and enduring drive to innovate, even late in his career, are commendable. While Megalopolis struggles in execution, its heart and ambition are undeniable. A chaotic mix of ideas culminating in a message about building a utopia, Megalopolis strives to find unity in an era of division. Despite being one of Coppola's most technically flawed and uneven works, its boldness and unique vision make it intriguing enough for a cautious recommendation. And the 8th worst movie of 2024 is Argy. Few films have launched with as much self-assured franchise ambition as Argy, only to stumble so spectacularly. Its overconfidence makes what might have been a passable action movie feel even worse. Despite a hefty budget and Matthew Vaughn's apparent plans for sequels, it's hard to see what inspired such optimism. This spy thriller delivers lackluster action, squanders a talented cast, with Bryce Dallas Howard feeling especially miscast, and features humor that consistently falls flat. The result is a bloated, uninspired, and overly smug film that assumes it's the beginning of something grand. One Argy is more than enough. No sequels necessary. And the 7th worst movie of 2024 on our list is Rebel Moon, Part Two, The Scargiver. While there are plenty of memorable duologies out there, Rebel Moon isn't one of them. Zack Snyder's ambitious space opera began in late 2023 with Rebel Moon, Part One, A Child of Fire, which, while flawed, still fared better than its 2024 follow-up, Rebel Moon Part Two, The Scargiver. Unfortunately, the series concludes with more of a whimper than a bang. Though both films offer moments of visual spectacle, they lack enough impact to make the experience truly worthwhile. Adding to the frustration, Netflix complicated matters with the release of director's cuts for both entries in 2024. Slightly improved versions that arguably should have been the original releases, though by then, interest had largely waned. And the 6th worst movie of 2024 is Madame Web. Madame Web faced an uphill battle from the start, with a shaky premise, a poorly received trailer, and an opening scene that set low expectations for the rest of the film. As one of several Spider-Man adjacent projects missing the iconic web slinger, the movie instead attempted to tell the superhero origin story of Cassandra Webb, a paramedic turned heroine. Unfortunately, it fell into the traps that give the genre a bad name: lackluster action, a weak story, subpar performances, and little promise for future developments. While it might offer some unintentional laughs, Madam Web is a film best left behind as the calendar flips to 2025. And the fifth worst movie of 2024 on our list is Miller's Girl. Some might label Miller's Girl as a fresh take on the erotic thriller, but it fails to be particularly erotic, thrilling, dramatic, or even funny. Instead, it comes across as an unfocused attempt to juggle all these elements at once. The story, centered on an inappropriate relationship between a female student and her male teacher, demands a level of nuance and skill that the film simply doesn't deliver. Despite featuring usually reliable leads like Jenna Ortega and Martin Freeman, their talents feel wasted here. At just over 90 minutes, Miller's Girl still manages to feel like an underwhelming misfire. And on number 4, we have The Crow. Call it what you will, but The Crow, 2024, is neither a remake nor a successful reinvention, and certainly not a triumph. Announced to skepticism and released to indifference, this reimagining failed to make an impact. It offers a new take on a story most know from the 1994 classic, but it neither honours the original's legacy nor succeeds in carving out its own identity. Where the 1994 The Crow is a masterful blend of supernatural thriller, action, and comic book storytelling, the 2024 version is a muddled mix of fantasy, horror, and action, with an unfocused narrative about death, loss, and revenge. With little enthusiasm surrounding it and minimal cultural footprint, it's a film already fading from memory before the year has even ended. And the third worst movie of 2024 on our list is Venom: The Last Dance. For over 2 decades, Sony has churned out a mix of superhero films, some regarded as classics and others scraping the bottom of the barrel. Sadly, Venom: The Last Dance firmly lands in the latter category. This chaotic mess of a film lacks a compelling villain, offers no engaging conflict, relies on cringeworthy humour, and delivers underwhelming action scenes. Even Tom Hardy, who brought life to the previous Venom movies, seems completely drained here. The movie drags aimlessly, padding its runtime with empty moments before forcing an unearned emotional ending and teasing a villain who barely appears. It's a lifeless entry in Sony's Marvel lineup that should have stayed on the drawing board. And on number 2, we have Megamind versus the Doom Syndicate. According to Letterboxd ratings, Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate is currently regarded as 2024's worst film. Much of this backlash stems from the affection many hold for the original Megamind, a well-liked 2010 film, making this cheap, poorly crafted sequel feel like a slap in the face. As a direct-to-streaming release, it suffers from a reduced budget, scaled-down production, and a recast of several original voice actors, likely due to cost-cutting measures. While it might serve as passable background entertainment for very young viewers, most others will find it a disappointing cash grab, unworthy of the original, best left forgotten. And the last worst movie of 2024 on our list is Joker: Folie à Deux. While there may be more tedious or visually unappealing films in 2024, Joker: Folie à Deux earns the title of the worst due to its massive disappointment, lazy execution, and the waste of both money and talent. With much of the film confined to 2 locations, a repetitive script, and pointless musical numbers, it's baffling that it cost $190 million. The attempt to subvert the first movie and critique its fanbase falls flat, as the criticism feels muddled and boring. It's not bad because it's a musical, but because it's a terrible one. Lady Gaga, Joaquin Phoenix, and Todd Phillips are all capable of far better, and yet this film squandered its resources without delivering anything meaningful. In a time when so much is at stake, supporting such wastefulness feels impossible. Good riddance to this one, a forgettable casualty of 2024. So, which movie do you consider the worst among these 10? Let us know in the comments section, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this.